Well, good morning, brethren.
Good morning.
This is getting to be a habit. I think I was here not too long ago. But Pastor is led by the Spirit, and I always say yes and let the Lord do the guidance. And I have some praying warriors out here, Teresa, and many of you, so that I will be able to get a message that will edify us and lift us up. So today, what came to me is temptation is what I'm going to be speaking about. You know, we shall be drawing from the epistle of Peter, 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verses 8 through 9. And by way of introduction, we will take a look at who Peter is. Then I will read all 2 verses and we'll analyze them to draw the lesson that Peter was admonishing us. Now, first of all, who was this man Peter? Now, Peter was the writer of 2 epistles, 1 Peter and 2 Peter. He was also the most eminent apostle of Jesus, and whose character shines brightly as it is described in the 4 Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles. Simon Peter was the first apostle that Jesus called to his discipleship. He was a person of excellent endowment, both natural and gracious, quick to apprehend and bold to execute whatever his duties were. Now in chapter 5, the apostles gave particular directions, first to the elders, how to behave themselves towards the flock, verses 1 through 4. Then to the younger, to be obedient and humble, and cast their cares upon God, verses 5 through 7. Then exhort all sobriety, watchfulness against temptation, and steadfastness in faith, praying earnestly for them. Now let's now read these 2 verses. Now I cheated, I copied it so I don't have to flip. So you can join me. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walking about, seeking whom he may devour. Verse 9. Whom resist steadfast in faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. Brethren, in order for us to understand those 2 verses that I just read, it is necessary to do a study of them and then analyze it. So we are going to do an analysis. In these verses, the apostle does 3 things. Number 1, he shows them their danger from an enemy more cruel and restless than even the most evil man, whom he describes by his character and names. A, he is an adversary. Not a common adversary, but an enemy that impedes you and litigates against you in your grand depending cause. And he aims particularly at your soul. B, the devil, the grand accuser of all the brethren. This title is derived from the word which signifies to strike through or to stab into your natures and poison into your souls. If he could have struck these people with passion and maneuvering them their sufferings, perhaps he might have drawn them to apostasy and ruin. See, he is like a roaring lion, hungry, fierce, strong, and cruel, the fierce and greatly pursuer of souls. By his business, he walks about seeking whom he may devour. Brethren, his whole design is to devour and destroy us. And to this end, he is unwearied, is restless in malicious endeavors. Night and day, he goes about studying and contriving whom he may ensnare to their end. Brethren, in society today, you know, people make jokes about the devil. They have games, they have food, devil dogs, and they put costumes on, a long tail, red horns. And they don't really recognize the fact that Satan is real, but he is supernatural. You know, you can't find Satan in a bow tie or dressed up like number 12, but he works on the mind. He is like the TV. You turn on channel 6 and you don't like what you see, you put 5. You know, but he is real. Now, that leads me to point number 2. He infers, that's Peter, that it is their duty to be sober. It is our duty to be sober. And when they say sober, it doesn't mean that you don't have a drink once in a while. You've got to be concerned. You've got to govern both the inward man and the outward man by the rules of temperance, modesty, and mortification. You know, today we could be drawn by so much attraction, and we can become totally involved by using our time multi and quadruply tasking, so that sometimes we forget we have to live. We get so much involved in working that living becomes second nature, and it goes on. We are to be vigilant, not insecure or careless, but rather be suspicious of constant danger from spiritual enemies. Because the war that we have, it's not what's taking place in Washington. The war is a spiritual warfare. And many times in the Bible it's talked about, he captures us with the mind. Sometimes we hear them talk about yoga. You know, just leave your natural and drive into nirvana. Let the mind just empty. That is a dangerous thing, to leave your mind empty, because Satan is looking about to fill every inch of our minds. You know, we have to be watchful and to be diligent to prevent the subtle ways of Satan. And to save our souls, we really haven't got the power. We have to give the captain of our salvation to be in charge. Therefore, we are to destroy Now Satan is seeking to destroy our faith. He raises bitter persecutions and sets out to destroy our direction. Sometimes we mean well, but a little bird tell us, you know, that looks very nice, but that's not the way. Go this way. And that's the way that leads us into destruction. Now, temptations is very enticing. It's like the fruit in the garden. It looks good, feels good, and if you taste it, it tastes good. But how many times we taste something and it's bitter? You don't like. If it's sweet, you keep it. And you know, it's so easy to be tempted because we have kids. We bring them up with home training. We give them what is right, what is truth, what is beautiful. And they reach the age for school, then they have to encounter the group in school. Then there changes, and sometimes they're not really bad kids, but the group that they're in, they don't have the training. So at times we have kids who are followers, and those might have a few leaders. But it's so easy to follow. You don't have to do anything but just get in the groove. So the temptation is great, which will lead to point number 3. He tells them that their cares was not singular, for they knew that the same afflictions were faced by their brethren in all parts of the world, and that their fellow soldiers of God were in the same warfare. Brethren, we have a high priest that has the experience that every one of us get from time to time. And he even took it right to the top. He was killed, the ultimate sacrifice. So when we have a problem and we go to Christ, that is the direction where he knows it all. You go to the top. And one of the things that I notice, people would be encouraged to pray. They love for you to pray. But a lot of times we don't give it to God. We give him some of it, and then we say, well, you know, the answer for this prayer is taking a little too long. I'm going to help you. And there we go. He is just looking at us and say, well, you give me the problem. I told you I will help. But you took back some of it, so hey, let's see what you're going to do. And one thing I come to realize, God has a sense of humor. He laughs at times, and then, like on a leash, he let us go some rope, and then he will put us back. And one of the things that I come to learn is that when you have a persecution, at times is a lesson in the trial. And depends on how you handle that particular one, he leads on to the other one. So it's like building your strength, building your faith. And strength and faith does not come overnight. When we see people reaching out to help, this is not something that just happened once in a while. They've been, from small, for years, they've been reaching out. I remember last winter, we were on an incline, the snow been melting, and lo and behold, we stopped for the traffic on the top of the hill, and Rosetta can't move. We tried forward, nothing, you just rolling and slipping. 2 people by our left side just went around the car and took off. And all of a sudden, a man and a woman saw me trying to push this thing and it wouldn't come. They came, pushed us out, and as we look back, there's no one. And Rosetta and I said, but there were two people right here. Then I realized the Lord sends help when you least expect it. And one of the things is, He does not come and push anybody, or He doesn't put ice salve and heal you. He uses people to be His hand and His feet. So at times, reach out and help someone. Because when you help this person, Christ says you're helping me. Brethren, they are good people because Christ is working, He is still healing. Tell me, why would some ex-fireman be in a spot where a car just flip over and starting to smoke, break a glass, pull someone out, and the car is in flames? I call that a spiritual intervention. A lot of people say the guy is a hero or the woman is a hero, and some of them are very honest. They say, I'm no hero. So they recognize within that this is a miracle that took place. Brethren, our God is still making miracles. So, you know, we have to resist the temptations. But one of the things I realize, we have to keep in contact with God, just like your American Express. You can't leave home without it. Because you can encounter a temptation as we sit here. And one of the things I notice is when we become addicted with Christ, when the urge comes, I mean, I was never a smoker or a drinker, but from what I understand, when the time comes that you gotta get a smoke or you gotta get a drink, it has to be, you gotta get it. So when we have Christ in our lives, we have Him like second nature. Any situation, you call Him first. Why is it at times we have a problem? And the first person we call is the drugstore, or we call a friend, and we call Christ when the friend fail and the drugs fail, when we have such an easy access. He's not busy. He wouldn't put you on hold, and it's instant. One of the blessings that I think we have is instant connect. And one minister not too long ago was saying, people say they don't know how to pray. He said, I'm going to give you an example of how to pray. He said, God have mercy on me. The whole church area was quiet. He said, that's a prayer. Yes. So if you say you can't pray, then maybe you can't speak. So brethren, I would say, let us resist temptation. It is out there. It's everywhere. And the blessings that we have in this church is enormous. I used to count numbers at one time because I was one of the ushers who would be saying, today we have a big group, 50. Tomorrow we have a combined and we have 80 people. I come to realize over the years, Christ is present with two people, with one person. So it's a beautiful thing that we have here. Look at us here today. Over a dozen people. And He's present. My friends, we know who's in charge. We may not know the time, but we know who is in charge. So let us continue to go to His throne with the grace that He gives us and the love, and help us to imitate Christ in our lives. You know, this is a privilege because Pastor is sharing his messages, and I personally believe Christ is pleased with us. We have more to grow, but we are like a seed planted. We are growing.